Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Kara, and I am with the LTAP Center here at ODOT, and I'll be your host for this webinar. Today's webinar is the third session of the DBE bidding and contracting updates. And this session is focusing on the new DBE Material Supplier Form. And we have Ms. Tia Williams Hayes as our presenter. Before we begin, I'd like to cover a few housekeeping items to ensure a smooth webinar experience for everyone. If you have any questions during the webinar, please use the questions panel on your screen. You can type your questions there and we'll address them as appropriate throughout the webinar. If you are experiencing any technical difficulties or have any other issues, feel free to use the chat panel to communicate with our team and we'll do our best to assist you. A PDF of today's presentation is available for your reference in the handout section as well as in the chat. Um, Please note that this webinar is being recorded and the recording will be made available to all registered attendees after the session. All right, with that out of the way, let's get started. It's my pleasure to hand it over to Tia. Ms. Tia, the virtual floor is yours.
Good morning. Thank you. We will start with Miss Lynn Stevens.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Lynn Stevens. I am with our Small Business and External Workforce Development Division, our Office of Outreach. And as you may recall, our previous name was the ODI Division, Opportunity, Diversity, and Inclusion. So we underwent a name change recently. And we also underwent a change in our Deputy Director leadership. Ms. Deborah Green is now our Deputy Director as of Monday, May 5th. Many of you may know Lauren Purdy was our previous Deputy Director for about 10 years. She left recently, and now we have Miss Deborah Green. So we have 3 offices under our division. Same format, same structure, just a different name. Our first office is the Office of Small Business Services, and that's led by Deborah Green. So she's administrator for that office, as well as our deputy director for our division. And you may recall the Office of Small Business Services handle things related to our DBE and SBE certification. So if you were certified for either of those certifications, you will see her name on this certification letter. We also, that office also handles the DBE reporting requirements to the U.S. Department of Transportation. That office also sets the edge in DBE goals on our projects, construction projects. Also, good faith efforts that are submitted for a project are handled by that office. DBE supportive services for technical assistance for all DBE certified firms as you do business with ODOT. That's under the Small Business Services Office. And then lastly, on the job training is also the apprentice program and the workforce portion of our projects. And the second office is our Office of Contractor Compliance, led by KT LaPlace, the administrator, and they handle all of our compliance issues. So prevailing wage, certified payroll, prompt payment, commercially useful function or CUF monitoring, Title VI of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, and then Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, Section 504 of the 1973 Rehabilitation Services Act. So we have at least 12 to 14 contract compliance officers throughout the state, each handling a particular district. So those are your contacts for any issues related to compliance with these topics. The final office is our Office of Outreach, where I am the administrator, and we have 4 outreach managers throughout each corner of the state. Michelle Newman in Northwest Ohio, Jennifer Christ in Northeast Ohio, Lorraine Stevens in Central and Southeast Ohio, and Miss Tony Perry Gillespie for Southwest Ohio. So they are a liaison for businesses seeking to do business with ODOT, or maybe you're already doing business with ODOT and have a question, don't know where to turn. We can help direct you if we are not the best persons to answer your question. And we hold lots and lots of webinars, workshops, and events throughout the state in person and virtually. So we can be a resource as well for businesses seeking to do business with the state generally as a whole, or other community resources we can help guide you to as you build your capacity to do business with ODOT. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Ms. Tia, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lynn. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tia Williams Hayes, and I work within the Office of Small Business Services in the Division of Small Business and External Workforce Development. I am one of two goal attainment coordinators. I would like to provide a disclaimer for today that this webinar is for informational purposes only. So if there's anything said or implied within this webinar that contradicts with the proposal notes, it is the proposal notes that will prevail. All right, we can go ahead and get started. Here's the agenda of what we will cover today. We will start with the overview to go over why we are here, what brought us here. We will cover some intended users for this new DBE Material Supplier Form, some things that you can expect to see. Then we will go through some scenarios tied in with the demonstration of how to complete the form. And we'll finish up with some Q&A. All right. So in order to comply with the DBE Final Rule 49 CFR Part 26 that is mandated by FHWA, ODOT took steps to revise Proposal Notes 7 and 13 as they cover requirements for our DBE projects that have DBE goals. From that, we rebuilt the DBE affirmation form. For those of you that were able to attend the Part 2 webinar, it covered in detail the updated affirmation form for this new process. The new affirmation form is an online form that is to be completed by our prime bidders. For prime bidders that wish to include DBE suppliers in their utilization plan, they will also need to have the DBE material form that we will go over today. DBE suppliers will need to provide a supplier code. That is something new that you will see today as well, that will be generated on this new form. That will be sent to the prime bidder along with the quote for the materials that are going to be supplied. The supplier code will be based on the type of materials that you're going to supply for the project. So you would give that to them initially in conjunction with the quote. All right, who are intended users? DBE suppliers that are certified to perform work as one of the following. Regular dealer, for the prime bidder to receive 60% credit toward the DBE goal for the project, or a distributor to receive 40% credit, which is a new dealer code within that final rule. Manufacturers that that the prime can receive 100% credit toward the goal, or suppliers that are being used as brokers, in which only the broker fees and commissions will apply toward the DBE goal. DBEs that will be used on the project as supply and installers should not complete this form. Here is a outline just to show you kind of where this new form would fall in the process of the prime submitting the utilization plan. So when they solicit bids, when they solicit for pricing and quotes for different material or things for the project, this is where it would fall. You would essentially complete this supplier form and send it to them along with your quote, as we discussed before. Some things that you can expect to see is that the new form is an Excel version. It is not within FormStack. It is not a PDF. It is an Excel version that can be found on our website. That form, along with the new affirmation form, can be found on our website. The link to our website should have been provided to you in the chat. that website. We will follow along as well so that we can navigate and show you where the actual forms are located and how to get to them. There's also some automated technology within this Excel form, such as it should guide you to which questions are required to be answered next based off the previous information that you provided in the questions before. Here you see a screenshot of how it will show. So you'll just simply see the word required based on what you put in. This screenshot in particular is of the header of the form on the questions part where you were entering the information. Initially, it's telling you to add in all of that information as it is required and needed for the prime to use on the affirmation form. There are some other things to look out for on this new form as well that were not introduced before. Some new terms. There will be everything versus anything to go into detail as far as are you supplying everything or anything from the quote based on what they are going to use. You may see terms such as all versus any. There is a difference, and they are critical to the supplier code that will be generated and how the material will count towards a goal. There will also be a specific breakdown that is provided of the material that will be supplied and how much of that will actually count toward the goal. So both you, the DBE, and the prime it'll be transparent information, and you both will know what will actually count toward the goal. The new supplier code, as we discussed in the overview, that code is new. And again, it is unique to the suppliers. It is an 8-digit code and it will be generated based on the type of material that will, I'm sorry, based on the actual supplier, whether it's a regular dealer, manufacturer, or distributor, or one word. We do advise that as a best practice, since this is an Excel version that is on our website, that it is okay for you to save a copy of it to use multiple times, but we do advise to occasionally retrieve the latest version from the website. Um, Whether there are other requirements that we that are brought to our attention that we need to add, we will add that and the different versioning will take place. Way to know which is the latest version. At the bottom of the form, there will be a version date of the last date that it was updated. All right. Before we get started, are there any questions?
We do not have any questions so far, Ms. Pia.
Great. Thank you. All right.
You're welcome.
So before I click the link to take us to the site, here is the first scenario that we will cover. Again, it is also included in the PDF version of the presentation for you to follow along. Again, some of the names may be familiar. The names are real, but the scenarios are not. So again, these are fictional scenarios just to show you how the form can actually work. So let's click on that. Great. So this is our website, as you can see here. This link will take you here and we can navigate down to find the form that we are going over today, which is the new DBE Material Supplier Form. It is at the bottom and the third one across. Clicking on that, it will take you to this page here to give you information on the form and allow you to download it from the link here. You will simply click the download link and you will click download file and it will download for you. From there, you can save a copy of it. But we have it up already. All right. Let's try to. Okay, so here it will always open up on the instructions page. And the instructions page are simply that. It gives you instructions on how to complete the form. For any new DBEs or anyone new to this process, which should be everyone. Again, this will take effect during the June 12th letting and thereafter. So the directions go over how to complete this, what to look for, to pay attention to everything versus anything and all versus any, as we discussed, and then what to do from there. On the form, which is the third tab, you will fill in the orange boxes with the specific next codes that apply to the type of material that will be supplied. There's also a link to our inbox, to our contracts letting manager box that our office monitors. So if there are any questions, issues, concerns, or anything like that that you run into, please feel free to reach out to that inbox. Again, we can't help what we don't know, but we are always here to help. Okay. So clicking on that tab that says questions, we will go ahead and start here. So the fields that you would enter information into, they are free form field for you to type into. So here we are going to put in our project or PID. The project, again, this is only used at this time for ODOT-let projects. It has not yet been rolled out for local-let. So we will start with a project number, DBE firm name. Let's say that this is who I am. Cuyahoga Supply and Tool. If you are on the call, I am not pointing you out. You were just my name of reference at the time I wrote the scenario. All right. You will enter the contact email for you, the DBE, and this person who is completing this form, this contact information should be someone who can speak to anything that is put within this form or the quote. We will, or we may have to reach out to this contact to ask questions about it. So this person should be able to speak to that. So I will put my name. All right. Here, this question that says, do you want to customize this form for a specific customer? What this means, is a yes or no question for you to answer. So if I know that a specific prime bidder is asking me for something that I don't know normally quote for, I can put yes here and put their information in the customer's name below. But you can also use this material form to complete to make a generic form, if that makes any sense. So if you know that multiple bidders will solicit quotes from you for the same thing, you can say no to this and leave this blank and fill it in as you send it out. But for this one, we're going to go ahead and say yes, we have a specific one. Again, since I said yes to that, it's going to say, well, who was the contact? Um, That's who reached out. And the amount of the materials for what they requested, we'll say is $90,000. Okay, simple as that. So based on that, as you can see it populated here for the first required question. As you'll see on this tab, every section of questions, it starts out in manufacturer. It will go through every category and ask different questions based on what you provide previously. It also provides a detailed description of what that role is. So for this, it gives you a detailed description of what a manufacturer is. That is what we use to base the credit on and how we determine who qualifies for what. So here is asking, will my firm be manufacturing everything that I am supplying? Again, this scenario calls for rebar, stating that the DBE will supply all of the material from my own inventory and from my own facility. So since that is the case, the answer to this question for me is no. Based on that, it's asking me the next question. Will my firm manufacture anything that I am supplying? Again, no, not for what I'm doing. So I'm going to select no. And as you see that next one, it tells me to leave it blank, continue on. And it will go through every question like that. So now we are in the regular dealer section. Again, it provides the definition of what a regular dealer is. It asks me, does my firm own or lease and operate a store, a warehouse, or any other establishment in which materials are kept in sufficient quantities and from which materials are regularly sold and leased to many customers? For me, this question is yes, based on what I am going to supply to them. Okay. So it said, okay, since that's yes, this is your next question required to answer. Will all of the products sold or leased provided from on hand inventory at your establishment? No, it will not be. So it said, okay, since that's a no answer, will any products sold or leased be provided from the on-hand inventory at your establishment? For me, it is yes. Based on that, I have two more required questions. Asking me, will at least 51% of the materials that I'm selling be provided from my inventory maintained at my establishment? And will the minor quantities of materials delivered from or by any other source be of the general character? That general character is key to pay attention to when you are answering these questions, based on the type of material that you're being requested to provide a quote for. So for me, this answer will be a no. Then it's requiring me to enter the dollar amount of the materials. Here, I'm going to enter 70,000. I know that the amount of the quote was 90,000, but you'll see why here in a minute. It's telling me to leave that blank, and I'm going down to the next section where it's asking me questions in relation to regular dealer or bulk specialty materials. Again, since I only put 70,000 up there, it's saying, okay, well, we need to understand what the rest of the money is for what you answered before. So here, this answer is a no for me. Here, no, I'm not providing anything that's considered bulk. So it's telling me, since those are no, leave all of these blank. Let's see if it's a distributor that applies to it. And you would just go through simply as this and answer what applies to what you are supplying. Okay. So for me, I'm saying no, this doesn't apply. No, this doesn't apply. All right. So it's saying, well, are you a broker? Will any materials be supplied by means that does not qualify as a manufacturer, regular dealer, or for distributor credit? No. Even though you can put whatever answer you want for that, what you'll notice is if that material credit that you put does not equal what you put initially, it will give you, and this is red. It appears that it's coming through as purple. It's red online, but it will highlight for you that something is wrong, something needs to be addressed. This materials total should always equal what you enter at the top, that credit. So if that does not equal that, then something is not correct. So maybe go back through the questions to make sure what applies is correct. All right. So if I realize I've put in that error, or I fat fingered or something like that, human error, things happen, or go back and realize no, it should have actually been that. Or maybe the initial supply amount was wrong at the top and it should have been 70. But if it does not match, it will indicate that there's an issue for you. And now since it's corrected, it's gone away. I wanted to point that out so that you can see that it will let you know if something doesn't match based on what you said. Okay. Here's the output of the form that we still have to enter information on. So here, that orange box, we need to enter in the next codes that applies to what we are actually supplying. Okay. So for this, since we were going to be doing rebar, we can just simply put that and we'll put the next code that corresponds to it. As a DBE supplier, you should know which NICS code applies to the material that you are quoting for. It should never be unknown. Okay. So entering in that information, and then it will ask you down here, type the name of the person who completed this form. That is your acknowledgement of this affirmation here. Reading this, you are attesting that everything that you put on here um, is true to your knowledge. So by you putting your name, you're saying, hey, this is me, I did it, and this is correct. In this case, this is my name. Okay. This is the form that you will, at this point, you can print it as a PDF and send it, or save it in some way and send this along, as I stated, with the quote to the prime. There's a message on here for the prime bidder that states that they need this form in order to complete their utilization plan. They may already be aware, but again, this note is here as well. All right. All right. Looking at what we did initially, when we completed the form, as you saw, there was the error. Again, if the totals do not match, the red text will display indicating that a correction is needed. Some type of review or revision is needed from that questions tab. Um, the orange boxes also indicate that you must enter the description of the materials and the NICS code for that, as we covered. All fields indicated for you to enter that information in will be highlighted in orange, as we discussed. All right. All right. So something else as well, based on that information that we provided, it stated that as we will be viewed as a regular dealer with inventory on hand only. Though we quoted well, in this case, the 70,000 was incorrect, but the 70,000, only 60% of that will apply. After we went back and corrected it, we see that of the 90,000, 54% is that 60% that will apply towards the DBE goal. Again, it is being very transparent to both the DBE and the prime bidder of what will actually count. All right. Are there any questions before we move on to scenario number 2?
We actually have just one quick question, and it's actually this person is wondering if local let will be required to use this form starting in June, or will it just be ODOT only at this time?
That's a great question. At this time, it is only for ODOT-let. Local-let has not rolled out this process yet. Once that decision has been made, a notice to industry will be sent out as it was for the ODOT-let.
Fantastic. All right,
Mhm.
that was the only question. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right. Let's move on to scenario number 2. Okay. Scenario number 2, this is what it states. It states we are Cuyahoga Supply and Tool again, but we are supplying rebar again for $90,000. However, we do not have a facility. I'm sorry, we do not have a facility, but we do have trucks and drivers to deliver the material. Okay. So again, we go back and we answer the questions based on what applies. So here, There is there is some automated functionality, but there is not a smart function yet to clear the form and reset it for you. Not yet. There can be, but not yet. All right. So this scenario has the same project numbers, this information here. So I'll leave that all the same. Here, since I am still supplying rebar, I am not manufacturing it. These questions are still no. Okay. All right. For here, where is it? Regular dealer. Required. Will my firm own or lease or operate store warehouse here? Yes, it's still yes. The second question, will all products sold or leased be provided from on-hand inventory at my establishment? No, not in this case. And in this case, will any products be sold or leased or provided from my on-hand inventory? For this scenario, no, it is not. Okay, maybe. All right. So based on that, it said, okay, so I need to leave this blank and leave that blank and answer the corresponding questions in the next section. Okay. Next section. Here, this first question, my answer is no, but it is yes to, will anything from my firm be considered bulk material? All right. Here it said, okay, since that's the case, will my firm deliver all bulk material or specialty material? No. Here, will I deliver any of it? Yes. All right. It's asking for the dollar amount of this product to be delivered. All right. Put that in there. Leave blank. Since I've said that, it has already determined the type of credit that will be applied. Okay. Let's go up here and see what it shows for us. Here is the supplier code, as you see here. This will clear this. Here is telling me, based on what I provided, that I will be viewed as a regular dealer with bulk specialty. That means that the material described on this line can be counted at 60%. Okay. So it's still 60% credit as before, but again, this is dealing with bulk specialty. So here we will enter in the same information as before, that we are supplying rebar, and enter in the NICS code. Again, as a DBE supplier, you should know which NICS codes apply to what you are actually supplying. Okay.
Just FYI, that's not the actual code that goes with that with rebar, but this is just an example. Well, the other, isn't it? Well, the first one you did was the broker code, I think.
The first one.
Previous example, I think you used the broker code, but maybe this time you used the right one. I'm sorry. Never mind.
All right. So that brings out what the form is that we have here. And this is what the form is, just a screenshot of the form. So this will be, if you print it to PDF, this is what you will again send to the prime and what they will see. All right. Are there any questions before I move on to the next scenario? All right. I will accept silence as acceptance. Okay. All right. Scenario number 3. This is a different one. Okay. This is stating that I, as a DBE, in this case being Key Cable, sorry, Key Cable, if you are on the line, I am providing a material supplier form and a quote. Key Cable will supply materials related to electrical equipment, items such as poles for about 7,000 of this quote that aren't kept in my on-hand inventory. I will order them from another source. Key Cable will take title of the poles, but a third party will deliver them to the project site. Okay, so going back to the form, we will either you can keep this information and erase and enter it as you need, or you can open up a new one each time. If you are going to save a copy, it's advised to probably clear after each use since you're saving a copy for yourself, but just make sure you have the latest one. All right, so here, yes, that's my contact information as we know. All right, this information is the same. Let's say it's the same bidder asking. This one, this quote is for a different amount, about $210,000. Okay, so for what the scenario is, these questions are still a no for me based on what I'm actually doing. But down here, this will remain as a yes, asking if my firm owns or leases or operates a store or warehouse. In regard to if all of the products sold or leased from provided from my on-hand inventory or establishment, this answer is still a no. For this one, if any of the products will be provided from my on-hand inventory, again, I have some of them, not all of them. So I'm going to select yes here. It's stating since that's a yes, it's asking me on the next question, is at least 51% of my inventory provided from inventory that's maintained in my establishment? No, it will not be for this one. So it's entering the dollar amount here. It's telling me to leave that one blank, so I will leave that one blank. Regular dealer bulk materials. Here, this first question is still a no for me. As far as if I'm providing anything that my firm is that my firm is selling, is any of it considered bulk? Not for what I'm doing. All right. So it's telling me to leave these blank. Here, answer the question for a distributor if all materials will be written, I'm sorry, if all materials, for all the materials with the written terms of the purchase order or bill of lading from a third party transfer responsibility. In this case, for me, it is a yes, because they are going to transfer responsibility to me. All right. For any materials here, it's telling me to leave blank. Go to the next required question. For all such material, will you be using sources other than the manufacturer or the seller to deliver or arrange delivery? Here, it's a no. All right, this is required for any such material. This is a yes for me. Say, okay, since that's the case, what is their balance? Again, this is in regards to the poles that I do not keep in my inventory. That's that amount for that. Leave that blank. And let's see what we have. So here we will see the unique supplier code for what it has dictated that we will be used as in this case, based on what we are going to provide and how we are going to provide it. It has deemed us as a regular dealer with on-hand inventory and a distributor. Again, since this counts as 60% of that 203 quoted amount, 60% of that is the 121,800, and 60% of the 7,000 is the 2,800. So here we would do as we were instructed before in the orange boxes. The orange on this page indicates that we need to input that information of what we are actually supplying and the NICS codes that are associated to it. Let's see. All right.
Tia, I think you meant to say 40% for the distributor.
The distributor is 40%. Yes, that is correct. Not 60%. It is 40%. Distributor credit will count at 40%. Okay.
Also, like on the questions, if you said that not everything will be fulfilled as a distributor, then you can't put the entire amount on the distributor.
Mhm.
So I would just say make sure if you really are going to be a distributor that you've said you have to say basically yes to both of the all everything will be supplied through a third party. You'll be taking titles to everything. Otherwise, you have some of it won't qualify for that, and you'll have to be looking at broker credit.
All right. Are there any other questions before we move on to the review?
Thank you for asking. Let's
Mhm.
see here. Question is, we just have the one. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We have two.
Okay.
One of them is to confirm this form is submitted at the time of bid and should be filled out by the DBE suppliers and or subs.
No, not actually. So part of that is a yes, part of it is a no. So this form should be completed by the DBE suppliers, but it should be provided along with the quote to the prime. So this should initially happen before bids open.
Okay, very good. Um, I'm sure there'll be a follow-up question if there's anything to that one.
Okay.
And the next question is, will local let be required to use this form? Oh, sorry. Nope, that one was already asked. Okay, we're good.
Okay. Okay, great. This slide here is just to highlight what we saw, what it provided based on what we input. Okay. So going on to the next scenario, it's going to be a little different. Different scenario here. This DBE has a contract to supply poles that it doesn't regularly keep in its stock. This DBE will not take title to the poles, but the manufacturer will ship them directly to the project site. The amount for this is $10,000. Okay. All right. So going to your form. Again, here I'm just going back up to the top of it. And I'm going to go ahead and enter in the information. We have our project number that they are going to bid on. My name in this case is Rad. Again, Rad, if you are online, I am not pointing you out. You are just great for the scenario. All right, here, let's say is all right. So for this scenario here, where it's asking about the manufacturer, this is where it's starting. Again, we're not manufacturing anything for this, so these two will remain blank for this. All right. This next section for the regular dealer, where it asks if our firm owns or leases anything here, we will say no, because that doesn't apply here. Okay, so it's telling us to leave all of that blank and to go down to the next fields that are actually required to fill in. Here, as far as if everything that my firm is selling in bulk materials, is still a no for me for this one. And for anything, it's still a no for me. So because of that, it's telling me to leave that blank and go down to the next one for distributor. Here, asking if all materials will be the written terms and the written terms of my purchase order and bill of lading from a third party. This is no. Since that is the case, I need to answer this next one. That's still a no for me. Since that is the case, leave that blank. Okay, so it's saying since none of that applied, will any of the materials be supplied by a means that does not qualify as a manufacturer, regular dealer, or distributor credit? For this case, it is a yes. Okay, so it's saying how, if that's the case, how much of the material to be supplied as other than a manufacturer, regular dealer, or distributor. In this case, it's called for $10,000. But again, remembering that the broker only applies for the broker fees or the commission. It's asking what that is right here. We'll say that is 5.5%, so that's about $550. All right. So again, from that, we have a supplier code, the project information. We will make sure to enter in our orange boxes what will actually be done. Okay. So here it shows that of the $10,000 for the material to be supplied, because it is being used as a broker and that broker fee totals $550, the $550 is what will apply to the DBE goal. Okay. In this box, you will enter in the next codes and the material that is being supplied. Your name here, and again, provide this to the prime so that they have it when they are completing the affirmation. All right. Again, this is just to show an outline of what that filling out those questions such as that, what it actually designated you as. In this case, it was a broker. All right. We have one last scenario that we can go to. In this case, the scenario uh, is a total of $170,000. In this case, the DBE has a contract to supply biodiesel fuel that it will manufacture. Okay, so as we have been doing up to this point, we will go through and answer the questions that apply to us. Okay, here we know that we have been solicited for quotes from a few different bidders, so we'll just go ahead and create a generic form. And again, for this generic form, we'll go ahead and put in our information. Sorry, Benchmark, if you are on as well. Not calling you out. I promise I'm not calling anyone out. So we'll say no in this case. Since this is a generic form, for this one, we'll do All right. So here it's asking for the required question for you to start there. Again, it always starts us in the manufacturers, okay? Since I am going to be manufacturing the biodiesel blended fuel, will your firm be manufacturing everything that is supplying? For me, I am going to say yes because that is what I am doing. If that is the case, it says leave that blank and enter in how much that will cost. All right. From there, everything else leaves blank because it's already determined how my credit will be used. And make sure that if you have information in those boxes, if you're reusing the form like I am, please remember to go back and remove the information that does not apply so it doesn't falsely identify the supplier code or how you will be counted toward the goal. All right. So I've satisfied and entered everything that I need here. And here it gives me a unique supplier code for the type of work that I will be counted for, which in this case is a manufacturer. Manufacturer credit counts for 100%, as we know. So again, the orange boxes indicate fill in the next code and what you are actually supplying. That is where you will enter it here. Okay. From there, this is what the output of the form should look like, and what again what you will be sending to the prime along with your quote. This was a little bit more short and sweet to the point. But again, to recap, what you may already know, as the manufacturer accounts for 100%, the regular dealers, whether that's regular dealer on hand or regular dealer bulk, um, regular dealers count as 60%. The new credit of the distributor, that counts as 40%. Again, the broker, only the broker fees and commissions will count toward the goal. All of this will take effect June 12th, 2025, in that letting. All right. Can take any questions or anything that anyone has about anything regarding this webinar.
We do not have any questions. So if anyone has any questions, now would be a great time to put that into the question box,
Mhm.
and someone, whether it's David, Tia, or Jason, will give you an answer to that question. Ms. Tia, your presentation was very thorough. Maybe you covered all the bases. That's
Okay.
awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
hopefully so. But as always, here is our contact information. Again, as I said, I am one of two goal attainment coordinators here in the Office of Small Business Services. David Walker, the Accountability Program Manager, he is who we report to, and he oversees the goal attainment. Any one of us can help answer any questions that you have regarding any of the 3 webinars that were conducted over these last few weeks, and any questions. We are always here to help. But again, we can't help what we don't know. So please feel free to reach us. We're nice, I promise.
I can attest to that, everyone. Also, I am putting um, email addresses into the chat right now. So if anyone would like to click on those so that they have those available, they will be right there. I am putting Jason's in there as we speak. And, mm, okay. Well, we do not have any questions. So, I guess that means that we can go ahead and start to wrap this up. I would just like to thank you again, Ms. Tia, for that insightful presentation. And to everyone that attended, we appreciate your time and engagement. Please reach out if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. And on behalf of all of us here at ODOT, we wish you a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks so much.
Thank you.